As a journalist, my salary did not grow as much as the corporate salaries did. My salary was just 13,000 bucks. People who had planned their life around their salaries suddenly were thrown out with nothing there.
When did you start planning about your retirement?
So one of us had to slow down, either my husband or I. I started with an investment of about 2,000 rupees a month. I picked up SIPs when SIPs was not a thing.
What do you suggest the young couples?
If there are two salaries, don't just blow up salaries. I mean, there are so many ways of doing that.
For a salaried individual, what is the right time to enter real estate given your experience?
Suppose you have a smaller corpus, buy a smaller house. If you're buying a house for yourself, that's not an investment. That is a
Hi guys, this is Devanshu here and this is Parana Money podcast. Almost all of these stories that we see on financial freedom and retirement are from the males. And this has been quite a complaint of our audience कि कोई female story लेकर आओ. There are so many females working and we really appreciate them and we also want to bring some story. So today we have with us someone who has been a corporate employee, salaried corporate employee. Recently, she went ahead and planned her retirement. And why we have brought this story, one of the primary reasons for that is that she was the major driver of that story. So welcome to our podcast, ma'am. Tell us something about your story, where it started, how you started working, and how it went through.
See, I was part of the second batch of the Times School of Journalism. That time, it was the Times Research Foundation School of Social Journalism. So we were trained to pick up social issues, how they have to be tackled, and so on. I spent, like anybody else, spent 3-4 years at the desk. I moved to Saturday Times, which was the features edition of the Times of India. After about 3 years there, I moved to ET Features, where I was looking after, and those were the heady days when the Indian economy had opened up. So
Oh,
this
yes.
was 1996,
Mhm.
1991, the
Mm.
economy had opened up.
Mm.
So the world, their neighbors and grandmother was coming to India
Mm.
to see the great Indian middle class. They were looking for that.
Mm.
There was no great Indian middle class.
Mm.
We were average, ordinary people living our lives.
Mm.
But they did. We defied any description of the great Indian middle class. And then I told my editor, now give me a challenging beat. So he said, I have a property page that is languishing. Would you like to pick it up? And I picked up property. I ran it for 6 years. It was a 13
Wow.
editions page. And it actually got us subscriptions into the Economic Times
Right.
because it was doing very well. It was the right thing at the right time in the right place. But doing that, those were the times when real estate was not even an industry. So there were some greats. So I used to interact with people like KP Singh, Ramesh Chandra, Niranjan Hiranandani. These were all big names, but the industry itself was so small and they liked, ET was a big name. So they would talk to us, take us seriously, and you could ask stupid questions and get away with it. The first 22-story building in Gurgaon was Beverly, and Beverly was being built. Corporate Towers was being built. Global Business Park was being built. So really, Gurgaon was just forming.
A great career you have had in the corporate. Tell us also something about how your financial side was moving parallel to this. Like, how much were you kind of earning, and like, what were your expenses then?
I joined the Times of India in 1987 and I earned a phenomenal salary of 1,850, which was more than
Yes.
what my colleagues were getting.
Wow.
In 1 year, I got a 150 rupee increment, which was phenomenal. But from there, I think as a journalist, my salary did not grow as much as the corporate salaries did, but my career grew very fast, right?
Wow.
So when I left the Economic Times in 2001, I think my salary was just 13,000 bucks per month. But the thing was, it gave me the aura. So remember that it's not just money, it's a direction in your career that is very important. If you have a great start to your career, you can grow very well. And when I went to the corporate world, they I think quadrupled my salary,
Wow.
and they gave me so many perks that I didn't know how to spend my money because I was not used to money, right?
Mm.
But the thing was that is the time when we decided that
Mm.
maybe we should buy a house and things like that. And it was also the time when, that was a step towards growing my salary. When
Super.
I came back to Magic Bricks,
Mm.
then a corporate world, it's far easier to grow your salary. And I
Super.
could take it easily into 70, 80 lakhs by the
Mm.
time I left my
Understood.
career.
Ma'am, when did you start, planning about your retirement? And how did that thought occur to you?
Retirement was very far off when
Hmm.
I was growing my career,
Hmm.
but I think it first came to us. The first economic shock that Indian employees, salaried employees, felt was in 2008. Till then,
Okay.
your career used to move. It was up to you whether you moved from one organization to another and so on.
Okay.
The pink slip first made its entry in India when the Lehman Brothers crashed.
Yes.
And we saw that happening in journalism from, I think, about 1100 to about 550 was the cut. So about 50% cut in employees,
Wow.
which meant that, people who had planned their life around their salaries suddenly were thrown out with nothing there. That was the first time that I started thinking that maybe there should be a buffer. We had no buffers.
Oh.
Because like I said, we had small salaries. And when we had bigger salaries, we were buying a house. So when you buy a house, your money flows into the house, and you're still not creating a buffer for yourself. So 2009 was when my child was very small. My mother-in-law was getting old. She was finding it difficult. So one of us had to slow down, either my husband or I. And my husband was getting a huge VRS. So he took that and said, let me switch careers, and you continue where you are. Now, the thing was that it doesn't make it any easier. But when we got a corpus of money, that was the first time we thought that this should be towards retirement. The word retirement entered our dictionary then. And we looked around, we asked around what we should do with the money. One thing we knew, that it had to beat inflation. And inflation was a reality, right? And what happens is, when people have a corpus of money, they don't realize how fast it erodes because of inflation. So unless whatever you've invested in is indexed to inflation, and it gives you that alpha over inflation, it will not service you. Retirement was, we were in our 40s that time, right? So we said, let's find somebody who will advise us, because we were not great at finance. And thankfully, a friend recommended one of the gentlemen who runs a investment firm. And he was an honest man. He handheld us through a lot of things. And I think if we hadn't found him then, we would never have managed to live in comfort like I'm doing today.
And any learnings from that planning of yours? And what was your investment going into after that? Like after you got that consultant?
I picked up SIPs when SIPs was not a thing. His advice was, if you are a disciplined investor and you continue investing, wealth will grow. The compounding effect kicks in when you are very disciplined and regular with your investments. So I didn't know much about it. I started with an investment of about 2,000 rupees a month.
When?
And this
It was
was
when?
2009.
2009.
2009 or 10 or something like that. But when I saw how it was giving me results, I started putting more and more of my salary. By then, I had finished paying for my house. One of the things that we did was that, we had taken a 10-year loan, and then we decided that we can actually pay more than that EMI. So we commuted it to 5 years, which meant that in 5 years, we were free of a housing loan, and that house was for our own use, right? But the house that we stayed in, we did not sell. We put it on rent. So we had a little bit, very small rental coming in. But the point was that we had an asset which was surplus, right? And the rest of the money, when people said buy another house, and I said, I don't want to buy another property, because managing property is not very easy. So whatever our EMI was, we started putting it into SIPs. So it was almost like I was prepaying for a house. I was putting in the EMIs, and that discipline worked very well, because it allowed us a good 18 years of investment. And we did have crises in between. We had to withdraw some money from that. But that compounding effect is so powerful that it keeps growing your wealth. No matter how much you take out of it, the rest keeps growing, right? And you keep investing. We never stopped investing. And by the time I retired, I mean, my children were grown up. I didn't have that many responsibilities. So I could invest a good 3-4 lakhs a month into SIPs because I was planning for my retirement. So it worked.
Ma'am, roughly like when you started planning for your retirement and when your husband would have retired, how much was in real estate or
See,
mutual
in
funds?
real estate was the house that we lived in. I don't think I invested in another house till I was very close to it. 2015, I thought I would pick up a house which would be ready in 5 years. Now, you
Understood.
can never time real estate. And I'm a prime example of that. I went to the best developer. I went with a really good development and I wanted a smaller house, which suppose we wanted to stay in as retirees, we should have a smaller house to stay in. And I bought it in the periphery so that I would have view of the hills and everything. That house was 5 years late, thanks to COVID, thanks to NBFC crisis and so on. So it kind of erodes the value of your property. But I still think it was good to go with the best because now it is completed and we've got possession. So that was the only property that there, because I had pre-invested in my EMIs, I never took a loan because I didn't want to I wanted to remain debt free. So I could keep withdrawing when the markets went up. I would withdraw enough to pay my next installment. And so I had an asset by just scraping the markets.
Many of our audiences are couples. So, and you have had a great journey. Like I see a lot of camaraderie between both of you. You taking all these crises head on and then planning for it. How did you guys manage it? And what do you suggest the young couples?
See, always make sure that if there are two salaries, don't just blow up salaries. I mean, there are so many ways of doing that, right? You can change your cars, you can change your clothes, you can change your phones, shoes, you can watches, you can spend as much as you like. But the thing is that if you keep investing in depreciating assets, none of these assets are going to stand you in good stead later. Some percentage should be an appreciating asset. And when you invest in SIPs, when you invest in gold, when you invest in property, these are all appreciating assets. So there must be a delineation of how much each of them should be.
So you as a team started the content part of Magic Breaks, which was majorly around real estate.
Yes.
So how do you see the real estate as an investment now?
See, real estate, if you ask me, if I weigh finance, stock markets and real estate, I would still say the stock markets give you much better returns. Real estate in cycles gives you better returns, but you must know how to time the market. And a lot of people, when they by the time they make up their mind and they enter the market, that it has already started declining. So it's good to have. I believe that any financial investment that you do, you must have good consultants and people who will advise you according to the stage of the market. That helps you make the best. For instance, from 2022 to 2025 has been the golden period of real estate growth. Anybody who invested in 2022 would have made a huge amount of money by 2025. When 2025, the markets have moderated. They haven't crashed, but they've moderated. Similarly, when I bought my house, I bought it for about 20 lakhs in Gurgaon, and I bought a really nice house. Today, its value is close to 3 to 4 crore.
Yes.
But that happens only when you're in the right part of the cycle, right? So I think that you must understand what you're investing in, and if you're buying a house for yourself, that's not an investment. That is a necessity.
So, what is your suggestion around how to go about judging a developer?
See, today it's much easier.
Hmm.
Stick to RERA.
Hmm.
No matter how effective or ineffective that state's RERA is,
Hmm.
at least the baseline is there.
Hmm.
Make sure that it is a RERA registered project. Make sure
Hmm.
you're putting your money into an escrow account,
Hmm.
and it is only going into construction linked plans.
Mhm.
Make sure that the cranes are moving. This I keep saying.
Ah.
If you
Hmm.
go into, like JP, for instance,
Hmm.
sold some 12, 15 projects
Hmm.
without even the crane on the first project. That is a red flag for me. If the builder is not building, he's clearly taking your money. And at that time, they did nothing wrong. The law did not prevent it. They could use your money to buy more land. And that's what they all did. It's just that a lot of it was siphoned out. Make sure that you remain in touch with your builder. Don't just buy something and say that maine kharid liya. You have to be invested in your investment.
And in general approach for a salaried individual, when is the right time to maybe buy a house? Because I've seen many of my friends also are in the same age. uh, there is always a need for buying one house at least where you can reside in at any point of time in life. So for a salaried individual, what is the right time to enter real estate given your experience?
Whenever you have enough to put that down payment down, which is the first payment you have to make with your own money. When you have that money, and suppose you have a smaller corpus, buy a smaller house. You may not necessarily want to live in that house, but remember that property appreciates. So when you have that money, you will be able to put that money, you would be able to exit that investment and then buy closer to where you want to stay. In the first instance, will you be able to buy in city center or close to city center? No, you won't be. But if you keep deferring the buy, you will always be short of cash. Whereas if you start buying wherever in the suburbs, periphery, smaller cities, wherever, but buy into a good developer who has a track record of delivery, somebody whose projects appreciate more than the rest of the market. If you buy that, you will always manage to do well. And I think the best time is in your at least your 30s.
And one money management mantra that you think was very transformative for you?
Spend only as much as you earn. Don't get loaded with debt. When in between, when my mother died, I had to take a break from my career because I wanted to spend time with my dad to help him cope. That was about 2-3 years. And we are the middle class. When you don't have a regular salary, from a big salary to no salary, it is a difficult time. And I think we did struggle at that period. We were paying for our house, we were paying for the children's education and everything. But you balance between your social obligations and your financial planning. You balance. And if you work on growing your strengths, when you come back with a bang. And that's what we did.
So this was our conversation with Jayashree ma'am. Really learned a lot around investing, around how to buy a house. If there were two learnings that I had to derive from our conversation today, first would be that crisis can happen anytime in life. You need to plan for that and eventually you will come out. Second is that always keep upskilling, learning, keep your mind and body working, because these are the things that will plan for your better future tomorrow, and it is never too late. So thank you ma'am for
You're welcome.
enlightening us on that, and thank you for coming on our podcast.
Not at all. My pleasure.